Hi guys, I just wanted to give you a quick preview of Excel. I'm sorry, I'm getting all confused here. Excel Unit A, which begins on Excel 1 and goes through the chapter here. It's something new. I think a lot of you are really comfortable with the Word program because you've used it before. But Word's a little bit different, so I want to take some time to go through the tour. I'm going to start on Excel page 4 in your book. We'll talk about touring the Excel window. The window should look really familiar to you after working through Word. You've got a file which takes you to your backstage view, your home. Again, it's all lined up in the groups like it was before. The clipboard's pretty much the same in the font. Your alignment's very similar to Merchant Center, something new. Numbers, style, cells, these things are unique to the Excel program. If you look through the other tabs, the insert, some of the things are the same. The charts are unique to Word. Page layout, some things that are pretty specific to Microsoft Office in general, nothing too much, that's just Word, or Excel. Formulas, this whole tab is unique to the Excel function. Data's out there. A lot of the data things are unique to Excel, where we can sort. Reviews pretty much the same as all the other Office packages, with the exception of down here with your sheet protection. View gives you the different views, which we'll talk about, and then we've got some add-ins. And don't forget your handy-dandy little help button over here. That always comes in handy when you get lost. So going back to the home piece, some of the things I want to point out. First off is your name box. A1 is the name of the cell we're in. Now I click on E19, you see E19 here. I know my active cell by 3 different signals on the screen here. Number 1 is in my name box. Number 2, I've got a dark border around my cell. And 3, my column and row headings have changed colors. They're not like this light blue, grayish color like the other. They're more like a yellow gold. So that's my active cell. This is called your formula bar. Right now it's just got letters in it. If I click on here, it's actually showing a formula. Down at the bottom, you can see our mode indicator. Right now it says we're in ready. I would click on this button, click in the middle of it. If I'm going to change it, it says I'm in edit mode, so you can change around there. When you first open up Word, where you're doing your work, it's called an individual worksheet, but the entire thing is a workbook. And when you open up a workbook, it initially opens up with 3 worksheets. You can add additional ones should you need them. We just put on the bottom here, add a worksheet, there we go. And then you can also rename it by doing a right click, hit rename, and I'm just going to call this one demo. And that's how quick and easy it is to rename a worksheet. Going back to my 1 because that's where all our data is. Some of the other things that it shows you on here, these are some other ways to get to some quick navigations of your views. Excuse me. Again, you have your zoom slider. You can total up a column real quick. If I select, this is called a range of cells. When you come down here and look at the bottom, you can see I've got a couple different things showing. I've got an average, I've got a count, and I've got a sum. So Excel can do that on ranges as you select the range. Like if someone says, oh, how many hours were worked this month for the company? You can look, oh, 376 without having to do any other calculations. Again, this is just a real quick tour of the Excel window. Pretty much similar to what you've done before, such as all laid out in rows and columns and grids. The ribbon's got a familiar feel, but that's our window. The next thing I want to look at is on page 6 is understanding formulas. A formula is an equation in a worksheet. So if we would click here, up here in our formula bar is the formula for cell E5. And when you have a formula, it's referring, in this case, we've got B5 times B5. B5 times B5. As you notice, in the formula, we always use a cell reference. We aren't going to manually calculate what 40 times 16 is and type in 640. For an auth, they're not going to put in 30 times 16 because with our formula, we create a worksheet to be used over and over again. And one of the things that it says about Excel is the ease of updates and transitions. So if Peter got a raise to $17 an hour, all I'd have to do is put the change in there to 17, and then his pay recalculated to $680. I can hit the undo button up here, go back to my 60, and see it was at 640. So when we enter information, we want to use formulas so that it automatically updates things for us. Okay. On page 8, we're entering labels and values and using the sum button. A label is just a name. In other words, a label is just when we put words in cells to say what's going to be below. Our label is hours. Everything underneath is the hours. Overtime hours. Again, it's a label. Everything under here. And what's in here? These are our values. Okay. The sum button. Up here's the sum button, and if you click the drop-down arrow, it gives you some of your most common functions. If I want to have a sum of the hours, I just need to click in the cell below my hours, come over here, hit my auto sum. You've got the, I kind of call it my dancing line around the cells. If these are the correct cells that I want to use, I just need to hit the enter key, and now I have a function in here. Slightly different than my formula. It's a function because it starts with a word instead of just doing straight calculations. But I've got my formula in here, function in here for my sum, and right there, I can click on it, I can see the range, and that's how easy it is to go through and do a sum. Page 10 talks about editing cells. So let's go here. We're looking at this and we realize we spelled Peter's name wrong. All you need to do is click on the cell to make it your active cell, like I did over here, and go up into the move your insertion point into your formula bar there, and move it right before the I, delete it. Now you have two ways of having this saved. You can hit the enter key, or you can hit the check mark on your formula bar here, and that functions as your enter. As you can see when I scroll over and highlight it, it says enter, so I can just point and click there, and it saves my change to the name Peter. The other thing you may notice is when we move in there, our status bar down here is changed to edit. Important things about the editing the cell. Please read at the bottom of 10 where it talks about recovering unsaved changes to a workbook file. That's really important. At the bottom of 11, it goes over your common pointers in Excel, how you move to different spots, your mouse pointer changes just like it did in Word. Be familiar with what the different signals mean as you move over different functions there. One other thing I want you guys to look at real carefully is on Excel page 10, step 3. It says click cell B6, then press F2. Okay, what that does is it's changing it to the edit mode. You've got a couple options there, but be careful with the F2. Okay, on my computer, if I want to hit F2, I have to hit my function key, which is next to my control key on my keyboard. If I don't press and hold the function key down while I'm hitting the F2 key, it also does some other things, okay? And what happened to me the first time I did that is the key also works for my internet connection. And when I just hit the F2 key straight out, I lost my internet connection and realized I need to go back and hit the F2. The function as I hit the F2 key. Okay. On page 12, it goes over entering and editing a simple formula. One of the things I want you to realize when you have a formula, like we have in F5, it always starts with the equal sign. Okay, the equal sign is called a formula prefix. It lets Excel know, hey, we're going to now do a calculation. So make sure that you always type in an equal before that. You can, once you hit that, say I want to put a formula in here, and I put in the equal, I can either type the cells by doing, say, F4, which isn't right. Let me go back to F5, and then a times, which is doing my asterisk, C5, And you can see that as I do that, it takes me. But the other thing I can do, which is almost easier, is I can point at my operator, point, and then as I'm done, I can click the enter or hit enter on my keyboard, and I now have a calculation. That particular one doesn't mean a whole lot, but that's a quick example of how we're going to do a formula. One of the things to remember, Excel will follow the proper order of operations, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So you have to kind of go back to those math years in high school and remember my dear Aunt Sally and remember your particular orders of operations as you're computing your formula. So when you're multiplying, most of the time it doesn't, you just have to be really careful that you get your order of operations in the right order so that you get the right calculation as you come out. On page 14, it goes over the different views. Okay, I'm going to go to my View button. You have a normal view, page layout view, page break view. In your page layout view, you can work with your header. Your header in Excel is divided into 3 sections. Let's say put it in the right, middle, the left. I just did that backwards. Left, middle, right. If you need to type in information in your header. Sometimes you might notice that something doesn't seem right. It's not doing calculations right in that view. You can always go back to View, Normal. Another way to go in between your different views is down here on the bottom. There's my Normal. There's my page layout. There is my page break view. Okay. And I personally like to spend most of my time in my normal view. So back to the normal view. The last thing I want to look at before we end this little mini session here with you guys is the print options. Again, your print options are in your backstage view. Go to print. You have your preview. You can change some things around. Now, one of the things that's really, really nice about Excel is you have this scaling. So let me go back to my home page and explain. Okay, if I have something out here, some data kind of hanging out here in the end, and I go to do my print preview, I want all this data on one sheet. I don't want to print things 2 sheets. But I come over here to my print preview and I realize, hey, those numbers aren't on the edge of the page here where they belong. I've got the option to go down here to the scaling and shrink to fit one page. And you'll see that my numbers are now there. You can have this if you've got a column that's just a little bit too wide for the page. Comes in really handy if you put a chart on there and half your chart's not showing up. So this feature of Excel with fitting to one page is really, really nice. If you also go to your page layout view, you have a lot of options here for your page setup. Talked about those also on page Excel 16 to give you a little bit more background. That's the down and dirty of Excel Unit A to give you guys a quick preview, and hopefully this quick tour has helped you out, and in conjunction with your text and the SAM demo, we'll get you through this chapter with no trouble. Hey guys, thanks.